right. Hey, welcome to the Forerunner Youth Ministries tutorial for using ProPresenter. Now, we are using ProPresenter 5. I know that we're behind by about one version. However, I believe these concepts will kind of go a little bit back and forth between all of the different ProPresenter versions. So what we're going to do today is we're actually going to build from the ground up an entire service without any placeholders or anything else. Now, I'm doing this tutorial specifically for those in our ministry, but I do hope that it also helps other people who are using ProPresenter. Now, we have a few things that are already set up in our ProPresenter software. However, I will do my best to explain exactly how we did those things, and then we'll run through each of the different things that we can do here. So, first things first is if you attend Forerunner Youth Ministries and you serve here, you will be a part of something called Planning Center, and I've already got Planning Center pulled up here. You can pull it up on your phone. You can pull it up on your tablet or just here in a browser window. And so right now this is our service for the night before this, January 31st, and this is what our lineup looked like. It was pretty basic overall. And I want you to make sure that anytime you get on and you're ready to set up a whole service is you take notes of the audiovisual notes, because I will always write my sermon, the different scriptures that I will be speaking on. I'll put everything here. I'll talk about which visuals to use from Shift Worship. I'll explain all that in just a moment. In fact, I'll do it before we get started here. So make sure you take note of the audiovisual notes, which you can find on your tablet or your phone or on the desktop version. So you'll see the whole service lineup, and if there's any sermon graphics or anything or a special video, I will do my best to make note of that in the service lineup. So the other thing real quick before we go on is Shift Worship. Now, Shift Worship, when you load it up, this is what you'll see. I've got the info. If you need the info to log on to shiftworship.com, I can provide you with that. We have a subscription, and basically they come out with visuals packages, or they call them collections of visuals, almost every week that we can use in our services. And so let me just show you one of them. Let's try Fire Mountain. I'm going to click on this one. I really like this set of visuals. So at the top, you're going to have a connector, which we will deal with in a little while. We use the motions, almost all of them. We do not use the offering motion, and we do not use the communion one at this time. However, we do use the exit, the go in peace, and we use welcome and upcoming for our announcements. And then the ones that are blank, these are for our songs or whatever else we would need a background for. And the reason that we use a collection rather than just random ones is because we want it to have a very cohesive feel, and we want it to look professional and done rightly. So then down here there are stills, which we don't use the stills. We do have the capability of using motion. So then we have countdowns, and when we use this for our words of affirmation time, or whoa, and there's also a placeholder for that in ProPresenter, which I will show you later. But everything else we're good, and we'll those were the things that we will use from Shift Worship. Now, keep in mind that if you come here to download it, they do take a little while to download, so make sure that you come early enough. Let's hop back over here to Planning Center. So in ProPresenter, we've got a blank playlist. Now, I made this playlist over here. We have our weekly service one right here. And if I click on the weekly service, it has pretty much what we always do. But just for the sake of today, we're going to go ahead and build it from the ground up. Okay? So let's make it a new playlist just like that. Now, the first thing, if we go to Planning Center, is we see that there is prayer. So rehearsal for worship practice, we don't need anything on the screen for that. But during prayer, I would like it to be very obvious that that's what we're doing and that's what we're there for. The very point of having our projector and screen is just so that anybody who's in the room, we're all on the same page. We know what we're singing, what we're doing, what the purpose of the moment is. And so we put prayer up there. So what we're going to do is we have these pre-made slides. And what I can do here is just start to type prayer. And as you see, we have a prayer and altar slide. And then there it is right there. Now, instead, what I would like to do right now is I'm actually going to make a prayer and altar slide just to try out. So if we don't have one and you need to create your own slide for whatever the case is, even if it's a song that we can't get a hold of through SongSelect, which I'll explain later, we'll go here to File. We'll go to New. Now ours will automatically load up with under the category of Presentation, which if it's anything else you can use the other ones. If you're going to make a song, put it under the Song category, or if it's a PowerPoint or so on and so forth. But we're going to leave it on Presentation for now. Now there are different templates here, but I've got it set up for I believe our default, which is what it is set to right now. Our default screen size is 1900 by 1200. That's because our projector is a 16 by 1610 ratio, not a 16:9 ratio. So that's what we leave it at, and so it should be there already. So in order to create a new file, I'm going to call it prayer, and I'm just going to put trial. I'm typing around a microphone right now, so it's a little tough. So go ahead and click New, just like that. And so then over here it automatically shows up Prayer Trial. Now, for this in particular one, we don't need multiple slides. If we did need multiple slides, we'd just go down here and you just click this. And you can click it again, you can click it again, and so on and so forth. However, we only need one slide. So I'm going to go ahead and delete these slides, which of course it doesn't let you use the delete button. So we've got this here, and anytime you click on something, it automatically shows on the screen. So be very careful what you click on if you're in the middle of a service. So now we want to give this a background, and then we're going to put text on top of it that says prayer. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Video Image. Now we've got a lot of folders set up down here. We've got now these with the little symbol on the folder. These are called hot folders. And let me show you where our hot folders are. So we have connectors, countdowns, exits, welcome, anything that has to do with videos. We go to videos right here, and let's see, we've got videos, and then in this video folder, as you can see, we've got backgrounds, connectors, countdowns, exits. We've got a couple of different things. Let's see, sermon videos, pre-service videos, welcomes, you name it, it is there. And that's a lot of these are already hot folders, and that means if any background I put into the backgrounds folder, it will automatically be updated inside of ProPresenter. So we're going to go ahead and hit the X on that, and we're going to go to backgrounds because that's what we're looking for. Now I will always specify which backgrounds we would like to use for that service. If I have an idea, and if not, feel free to use whichever ones you'd like, as long as they are all from the same collection. So let's say we would like to use the Heavenly Blaze connector, or I'm sorry, background. So we have them all right there. They're all in alphabetical order. So I'm going to drag the Heavenly Blaze blue. Now what that does is it creates a background. So if I could click it now, it updates, and now there's this really cool Heavenly Blaze thing happening in the back there, right? So now I'm like, okay, but this is supposed to be for prayer. So automatically, by the way, this video is just a 30-second background loop, and it automatically loops. It's automatically in that state. So we'll discuss how to get into the various settings for each background later. All right, so let's go ahead and right-click on that slide. Now we're going to hit Edit Slide. Okay, so then it gives you the option here. So what I can do is I'm just going to go ahead and keep it real simple. We're going to type prayer, and then, oh, don't want that space there. And you know what? I kind of want this to be a lot bigger, so we're going to make this like 200. Let's go up even higher. Let's go to 250. There we go. Now this looks, now I can click show here, and you see this is still going. So we're not interrupting anything that's happening on the service by editing a slide. So let's say there was a typo or something like that. You can actually edit it live and then click show, and then that goes up on the screen automatically. It just refreshes the background, which, because it's a cohesive and it's made to loop background, it doesn't look bad when it resets. However, when you look at this is a little tough to read at times, especially because there's a lot of white happening in this background sometimes. And so I would say, especially if you have older folks in your congregation or different things, it's good to make sure it's very, very easy to see on the screen. So what I might do, one way I could do this, is I could actually highlight it, and I could increase the outline. Let's see if that's working here. Let's see, there we go. I think it's working. And then I can click show. Oh, and that looks extremely, extremely ugly. Now, as you can see, it didn't update here, but it did update when I clicked show. So sometimes it's a little finicky, and you got to do what you got to do. So I'm just going to bring that back down. Let's go tame it down to about a 10 and see what that looks like. Now that looks a little better. It's actually easier to read in different things. Now, of course, there's the text style, what you want to do with it. There's so many things we can do. We can just as I'm clicking through these things, I'm kind of being reminded of what I need to do. Now, you can take your own time, play around with these things, do whatever you would like to do. A lot of these things you're not going to need to necessarily deal with, but what we can do here is like, okay, let's just say we're done with this. Now up here you've got add a rectangle, you've got add an image, you've got add a video, you can add a live video. You can do so many different things with just a single slide. So for instance, I could add a rectangle to the slide, maybe make it a little bit less visible, to bring down the opacity, put it behind prayer so that we have a box around it and it looks a little bit nicer. But for the sake of time, we're going to go ahead and move on. So let's just say that's our prayer trial, that's our prayer slide. So then we'd go back and we're going to look here. So we got Hangout and visitor welcome. Well, let me tell you, we have something made for welcome time. So we've actually got welcomes here. Now, one way we could do it is we could just be like, oh, look, I'm using Heavenly Blaze for the prayer trial. So now I can actually use Heavenly Blaze. I'm sorry, I'm actually skipping something here that I would like to remind you. So once we get the prayer trial done, I'm going to bring prayer trial, we're going to put it in our lineup. So now it's actually in our lineup. And now I don't know why it's giving me two of them right now. I think it's just being a little finicky. But so we've got prayer trial. It's there. It's the first thing. So now if I want to, we've got welcomes, which I'm looking at right now in our hot folders, and we already have it downloaded. So I'm going to bring this over. I could just bring it right in, just like a video, just as a video. And if I hit the play button, see, it looks a little different than slides because there's the play button next to it. And that's what happens when you just drag a video in. So then we would leave that up while the music is playing and while everybody's hanging out and doing their thing. Okay, so it's a very welcoming thing, and it's obvious when people walk in the room, they know there's nothing special going on, but that we're glad that they're here, and we're just having a good time for the 30 minutes before our service. So we could do that, or we could go over here. Now, I've got a welcome slide that I created, and I actually created, I'm going to go ahead and drag this welcome slide in. So I'm going to delete this one. I'm clicking on Heavenly Blaze Welcome. I'm going to hit the delete button. It goes away. Now we have a welcome slide here. Now this is a slide with the welcome video applied as a background. So it's a little different. But what this allows us to do is that we can actually leave this welcome here in the service. We can leave that because it's a slide. And now if we want to put a different background, we simply drag it in. So we're on Heavenly Blaze. So I'm going to drag the Heavenly Blaze over the top instead. So now if I just click, it refreshes, and now we have a new one. And I can actually leave this here for next week so that all I have to do is drag in the new one on top of the old one if we're going to be using different ones for the next week. All right, so let's go back to Planning Center and take a look at what we got to do. We've got announcements coming up now. Okay, so let me show you what we can do with announcements, okay? So, for instance, we remember how we brought this up. We've got the video and image button up here, and it will bring up our video and image bin. So the first thing I want to do is I could go and I could search announcements. Again, if you, that's not an A, is it? A, there we go. Okay, I could just go ahead and click here. Now I've got one made for what we already use every single week. However, let's pretend that we don't, because I want to show you something new. We're going to do an announcements trial. Okay, and remember, all the settings are already ready to go. So now we've got a new one, ANN trial. So now it's black. If I click on it, nothing happens because there's nothing on the slide. So if I want to refresh it, I can always click on show logo, which will always go back there, or I can clear all and it will clear everything there. So now we're on announcements trial. So right now we do not have a hot folder set up for announcements, or the upcoming is what they call it on Shift Worship. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create a folder. We're going to go to videos, and this is where we keep all of the different videos. So I'm going to go ahead and click on new folder, and we're going to call this upcoming. Oops, man, it's so hard to type. There we go. I'm going to call it upcoming. Okay, so we've got a folder there. Now let's go back into ProPresenter. I'm going to click this little cog wheel down here. Add new hot folder. Now we go to, let's see, libraries. We're going to go to videos, videos again, and now we scroll down to upcoming. So now I'm going to click on upcoming. Okay. All right, so now we have an upcoming slide. Now there's nothing in that folder. So, but I happen to know that we do have one upcoming video that I have elsewhere. So let me speed through this real quick. Announcement slides. We've got, I'm going to go ahead and Control X that. Okay, and now we're going to put that in upcoming. Now watch what happens here. Go ahead and paste it there and see what's happening here is it's actually adding that to the upcoming hot folder. See, it automatically added there. So what I'm going to do now, click and drag, boom. And so when somebody starts to do announcements, now you've got something to throw it up there, say, so everybody knows what is happening. Now we want to add the announcement slides, which we do make. So I can hit add a slide. And maybe I know I have 3 different announcements, so I'll add the different slides. I'm going to go up to announcement slides. Now you can do this however you like. We just showed you how to create a hot folder, but we keep ours in announcement slides, and I do realize that's spelled incorrectly, but it doesn't really matter at this point. So I would take, let's say we want this one. I'm going to add that. I'm going to add that to the next one. And then I'm going to add that to the next one. So now we've got a couple of different ones. Now all of these slides are made especially for our projector in the right size and different things. And yeah, ProPresenter, even if they're the wrong size, it'll help you with fitting it in different things. So for instance, then I would be able to, if I'm setting up the whole service, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to take, remember I searched announcements. I'm going to drag announcements down here and just add it into our playlist. So now we've got prayer, welcome, and announcement trial. Now we've got this here. See, and if I put it up there, it's going to show just like that. We've got our prayer, and we've got our new official start time that we could add to that list. So when somebody's going through announcements, they've got something in the back, a visual, to give everybody kind of an update or kind of draw everybody's attention in to what is going on. So now we've got the announcements in. So what comes after announcements? Looks like we have a worship connector video. Now I will specify what to use. A lot of times there is a connector video that will actually go with the same backgrounds that we're using. So right now, for instance, I'm going to go to backgrounds, and I was down at the Heavenly Blaze. So let's see if we have a connector for Heavenly Blaze. We do have a Heavenly Blaze connector. And so again, I would normally go up and hit File, create a new one. I would create a new something called connector. But for time's sake, we're going to go here, and boy, it's so hard to type. Connector, here we go. I'm going to drag that in there. Now, we've already got a connector in there, okay? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Heavenly Blaze, I'm going to put it right on top of that. Now, sometimes it draws a blank and it shows a black screen. Now, this is a common problem that I've been running into lately, but let me show you how you can fix it. So, the videos we download are .mov. You can see that there. So there's a directory issue on occasions. So I'm going to go into my actual hot folder. I'm going to go into my actual connector folder and find which one I was going to use. And then I'm going to simply put .mov at the end. And honestly, I don't know if this is a very common problem or not, but then I'm going to come back into ProPresenter. I'm going to, now you see there's actually a showing there. So I'm going to drag this in, and now there's a video. Okay, see, it works. Now it's all together. Now it works. For some reason, there's a directory issue there, and it doesn't know what quite to do, but that seems to be the best way to solve that problem. All right, next we have a song that we're going to add. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go over here. Most of our songs are going to be found in our library. So I would search Take It All. And then, for instance, let's say I can find Take It. There it is. All I had to write was two letters here, and we've got Take It All. I could click and drag this and bring it down here. Now, we know Take It All is an old Hillsong song. So if I wanted, let's say I didn't have that in my library already. What I would do is I'd come up here to SongSelect. Now, this will only work if your church has a subscription to SongSelect and you are subscribed to CCLI. However, I'm going to go, we do have that, so I'm going to click here, and I'm going to type Take It All. Okay, I'm going to hit Enter, let it search, and here we go. Usually it's the first one, not all the time. So I'm going to click here. It's going to give me a preview of the lyrics. So I'm like, oh, that's the correct one. So then I would hit import. And I'm not going to do that for now since we already have it. But I would hit import, and it would show up in our library ready to go. Now, you could change the way the text looks, or you could do whatever you want. But for now, Take It All is already there for me. I'm going to bring it in just like that. Now, I'm going to scroll down here. Now we got Take It All. Now you notice we've already got a background here, but here's the beauty of ProPresenter. I love this. I love this. It makes everything a lot easier. So we're going to go to Heavenly Blaze. I'm going to pick one that I like, this green one, this Aurora one here, and I put it on the very first one. So now if I click there, we've got the background there. Now here's the cool thing. If I go to the next part here, it doesn't change the background. it actually always goes with the background that is right before basically the last background that was chosen in that list, in that slide or in that presentation. It's going to continue to use it, okay? So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I really like it. I really like how it uses it. I can go anywhere in any order. Doesn't matter where your worship team goes. It's going to keep the same background, and that background will continue to loop until a different track or a different slide is selected that has a different background. So we're almost finished here. We're going to go back. Now we see whoa. So we use countdowns for whoa because it's just a time where we just say nice things to each other, and like it says, give a hug, say something nice, or start a dance party. And we do that. And so, excuse me, we're going to go here. And what I could do, again, you can create your own, but we're going to go ahead and type our own. Look, I just typed a W. There's whoa. I'm going to drag in whoa right here. Boom. And if I just scroll down, now we've got whoa. Now I have this slide. I want to show you what I did here. If you watch the words whoa, when I click on this, it's got some sound. See, if I click on it, now the whoa will actually show up in a certain way. Some of these, let me show you something real quick. So some of these backgrounds, especially for the countdowns, they will actually have music in them. And if you don't want the music, you right click and you go to Media Properties. And again, don't forget, there are different ways we can do these things, and we'll talk about the different things we can do with the ins and the outs and stuff like that. But hang on just one second. So if I go here, first of all, this countdown is meant to stop, not to loop. So I'm actually going to change this to stop, just like that. And now, if I would like there to be audio, then I would keep the volume at the same. If I want there to be no audio, I just drag that down. There will be no audio, and I can play whatever song I want over the top of it. Does that make sense? So, and here, of course, there's all sorts of fun tools that we can use. So we can use a saturation thing. If you can actually, here, let's put this in the middle here. See if it'll, now if I go down in saturation, it's tough. I don't know if it's going to show me or not. No, it's not going to show me in that mode, but it's showing me in the background, as you can see there. So there's some fun little tools you can use. You can blur the image. You can do all different things. But let me cue you in on something here. So let me like maybe we don't want 5 minutes of whoa. So maybe we would just want 2.5. Where's this at? Let's see here. Sometimes it's a little bit slow. So that's about it, right? So let's go 32, 31, and 30. Okay, so what I could do is I can click the word in right here. And what that does is it tells ProPresenter, I don't want the video to start at the beginning. I want it to start right here. And then you could do the same thing with out. So let's say you wanted it to be out like right before the end of the video for some reason. A lot of times with our pre-videos, sometimes we take some, use videos from YouTube in places. And so sometimes they have ads or different things that we want to, we just want a certain section of it or whatever. You can use the in and out tool to play the video only for as long as you want. And I could click out if I wanted to. However, I don't want that to be like that. All I have to do, there's no saving involved. I just hit X. So now if I click whoa, there will be no audio, and it will start at 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Right now, it's being a little bit funky. There it goes. There it goes. So it's going to start right there, okay? So let's go ahead and hit pause. I want to show you one more thing. Now, notice how I went to media properties before. That's how I got to those the properties of the background video. But in order to change the words on top of it, I'm going to go to Edit Slide. Now here, I can click on those. I've got this going on for it. I've got the size. I've got the text like I like it. I've done all these different things. You can do fill and lines. You can do all sorts of different things. But I chose here. I chose one of those. I chose the MOD or the mod. It's like a fade in of some sorts. You can change it to whatever you want, and that way it will act however you want it to act. Okay. So I'm gonna. And if you ever make changes, don't forget you can use show to show them immediately. I'm going to go ahead and hit X on that. All right, see what else we have here. So now we have video, speed the light. So we've got a speed the light video again. Now I want to show you how I can mix and mingle a few things here. If I can find my keys here. Let's see. Speed the light. So I've got one made for speed the light. I'm going to drag that in just like that. Now speed the light. Now you see here I've got a video over the speed the light first one, and then I've got also a slide that's made. Now you notice the background of this is actually it's one of the other backgrounds. So if I wanted to change that, let's say I wanted to use Heavenly Blaze, let's use Embers. I'm going to put that there. If I click on it, it updates, and now we've got a different background. It's pretty cool. Now we're raising money for Speed the Light, and we like to put our things. So this is a slide that I put together so that we can use it, and I update it each week, so on and so forth. So let's move on. Let's see here. We got Speed the Light in there. There's a video. And remember, always pay attention to what is going on here in Planning Center. If you have any questions, you can always ask me or somebody else who may know. So we've got 4 other songs, and normally I would go ahead and put them in, and we would add the backgrounds and make sure it all looks the same. We'd use Heavenly Blaze, so on and so forth. But let me get to sermons, okay? So sermons, I'm going to use the same. I'm going to make these. I'm actually going to make these and bring them in. So let me bring this here. This says Pastor Stephen's sermon. I've got it set up a very specific way. Really easy. I don't do lengthy PowerPoint PowerPoint slides or anything like that. So my sermon last night was called Are You Ready? Okay. So obviously you can start that with the title slide. It'll put it up there. Everybody knows what I'm going to be talking about. But then you see this slide that's kind of blank. Okay. So it's blank. It has nothing on it. And this is where I ask that you would put the scriptures when I call them out from the pulpit. So we have it here. I have one scripture, Joel 2:28, and I know this is already preloaded and things. Now, if you're from a different church, you may not have all the Bibles available on here. We did go and purchase the Holman Christian Standard Bible from the online ProPresenter thing. I don't even remember, to be honest, exactly what website we got it from, but it was related to ProPresenter, and it allows us to use the Holman Christian Standard Bible on our slides. And so I'm not going to get into how to use the slides or how to create templates right now. That's a little bit more advanced. However, we've got this template here, and I believe it's already on the Forerunner sermon. This is set up so that when I make a slide like this, every single time, so we got Joel 2:28 put in there. If I click this button, it's actually, I know you can't see it, but there's text on there, okay? And then it will put it up there, and it will only allow the text to go as far as the black is. So if I had more scriptures, it's really, really easy. You would simply type, let's see. I'm going to, Matthew, nope. I'm going to put Matthew 28:12. And if I hit enter, Matthew 28:12, and I click on it, I just literally put a random one in there, and it would show up. And if you had multiple verses, it would give you one verse at a time, and you'd be able to click and go on it. So that's how you can use these slides to your advantage. Now, if you want that to go away, you could go back, you could do that, or you could just click clear slide, for instance. If you just hit clear slide, it would take off the whatever was from the Bible. It would not clear the whole slide as in this whole slide. So I think that's pretty much it for everything. We've got different things going on. Of course, you could, let's say we wanted to add an exit, right? We've done countdowns, we've done the connectors, we've done exit. So let's do an exit real quick. So again, there's 2 ways to do this. I could take Heavenly Blaze, and I could just do that. Just like that, real nice and easy, right? And it's just a video, and it will do the replay thing. It would be nice and simple. So if I did that, it'd be just like that. And it would look good. Or, like what I like to do, is I like to create a slide, a placeholder slide called exit, and that way I can just leave it there. And see, there's already one in there, and that's actually the one that we're using. Let's see if we wanted to use Streak Storm for some reason, or maybe Fire Mountain we wanted to use. Well, I don't know why it's not letting me use it, but here we go. There we go. So I can add whatever I want to it, and then it's just simply just going to say go in peace, and it's going to continually do that. So if you wanted to, you could simply just throw it up there at the very end of service, and everybody again would know what is going on. So I hope you learned some things today. I know that this was a very thorough tutorial from beginning to end. If you have any questions, you can always ask me. I know that there's other parts of this. There's recording the sermon, there's playing the music through Spotify, the lights, the different things. But remember, if you freak out, you can always go back to logo and just throw that up there. Nobody's going to think a thing of it. And other than that, that's how we use ProPresenter. And I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope that you'll be able to use this in the future. So we thank you, and look forward to seeing you serve.